All right, here we are. It's Saturday morning. It's time for Metaphysical Meanderings with Master Psychic Lana Duncan Hartgraves. My apologies from the booth, Lana Duncan Hartgraves. And she does have, if we can get her back, we do have a wonderful special guest this morning. Lana, why don't you go ahead and talk to us, because this is about awakenings.
It's
today.
about awakenings. I was talking last week about the different levels of awakening. And you go through a process and you feel sometimes like you're going backwards. So what so far we've talked about is things don't seem right anymore. All of a sudden, and usually it's trauma. Trauma brings on an awakening. Now, you don't have to have a trauma to have an awakening, but usually it triggers something a lot of times, okay? So you have like an urge, and it becomes like things just don't seem the same anymore. And you're searching. You start to search. So you start looking for different ways to do things. You start, I think everybody's gone through an awakening at some point, and you will, and some point you will go through one. We're trying to get my guest speaker back on. How about, hold on here. We're having technical issues. I'm gonna give her. How about if I have her call my business number? Is that all right?
Yeah.
That's what we'll have to do, because we keep dropping somebody. And she's been through an awakening. So I always like to interview everybody that, okay. So anyway, as we are doing this really quick, I've been talking about the different stages and how you know if that's what you are doing. But my true opinion is that if you're going through an awakening, because you become a different person. You are never the same person after it either. All right. I'm going to see if I can my friend has been through one recently. That's how she got her psychic gift. Oh, there she is. She's back on. Good. Oh, good. I was going to have you call a different number. Thank God. We were hoping, we didn't know what to do. So, yeah. Can we hear her here? Got it?
Do we have you?
Yeah, she's on. We have to just there we go. There. Can we hear her? Brenda, can you talk? Oh, nothing. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I don't know. Microphone's on. Uh-oh. Hold on. We're trying. It's a technical thing. Every once in a while this happens. We didn't have any trouble before, but okay. Can you talk? Say nothing. Uh-oh. Okay.
She might be calling your phone.
Okay. You know what? I'm going to have Brenda, you can be on here, but you might have to. Are you using your phone right now? Or you are using your phone? That's okay. I'm going to send you. We're going to have to take you off here because we don't know why, but we are going to, there we go. I'm going to email you a number. Call me on there. Okay. And yeah, we're live, but yeah. 844. Okay. Hold on. That way we can at least talk to you. Okay. Sometimes this happens. 844. This is my line that goes directly here. There. Call that number. Okay. Back out and call the number. Okay. All right. Now, how does this work? When I pick it up, it'll be on?
Yeah, when she calls in, that should
okay.
pipe right into our board.
Okay.
And you should be able to talk with her and you should be able to hear her.
Okay.
So we'll wait for her to give you a quick call.
Okay. Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear?
I can hear. Can you hear her?
Can they hear? Hello. I can hear fine.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. You can hear. Okay. All right. Hi. How are you? Sorry. We had some tech. Every once in a while we go through this. We were okay last couple people I've had on. So I started talking about awakenings, and I know that you've had an awakening, and your awakening gave you your psychic ability, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so tell me some more. Tell me kind of, you don't have to be real specific, because if it's personal, for a lot of people, awakenings are very personal. So you can just fill me in a little. Fill us all in. Tell us a little bit.
Well, I think it started when my dad was dying in a nursing home in 2008. And I had spent the night with him in a chair and in his room. And about 3 a.m, I woke up and he was talking to someone.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought at first it was me. And then I realized he was talking about the light.
Okay.
And when I realized that, I paid attention because I knew then he was seeing the other side.
Okay.
This was 2 days before he died, and he was dying. We knew he was dying.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I tried to ask a bunch of questions. He obviously was not talking to me.
Yeah.
He did not hear me, but he talked about this beautiful light on the other side of the door and wanting the door open. And then the door must have opened, and he talked to a man named Jim. Now, we, to this day, still don't know who Jim is. I've done my genealogy. There is no Jim.
Guide.
Must have been a war buddy, maybe.
Guide, even? Could have been a guide, maybe?
Yeah, it could have been, yeah. It could have been. He was just thrilled to see Jim. So that's probably how it first started. And then on the night of my 50th birthday, I had gone to bed, upset about something, and I began to dream that I was driving, but very bizarre dreams. I was seeing babies when I was driving, and these dreams had a different feel than any other dream I had in my life. I've always been a dreamer. I can remember specific lucid dreams as a kid.
We were just talking about dreams.
Yeah, so that's how it came in, and then I started to see a pattern. I mean, it was enough to wake me up to think, what is going on here? I would fly with angels. I would see animals that I didn't know, like I would see a snowy white owl. I see a lot of birds. First, a lot of strange birds that I didn't know. And it just kept coming. And then I was having dreams, I was baptized by John the Baptist. I saw Mother Mary on December 24th.
Yeah, I think I have too. I was talking about that.
All kinds of that stuff.
Okay.
So I knew something was big. But before that, I was going through depression. And I think that's what brought it all on.
Okay. Okay.
I remember smoking a cigarette on my front porch, and I was talking to God. And I was brought up Catholic. And so this kind of stuff was a no-no.
Yeah.
And I hadn't even thought about this stuff, but I was smoking a cigarette, and I was asking God to have a relationship with him, but I told him I didn't trust him. I couldn't live with that punishing God that I had lived with, as growing up. And I said, I would like to have a relationship with God and trust you, but I don't know how to because I don't want to be religious. And I just left it at that. I felt peaceful after stating I didn't have any idea this was coming.
Okay. And I think that most people don't. So you're right on the money on that one. Yeah. Yeah. So
it was out of the blue. It wasn't like I was actually anti-religious, anti-God.
Yeah.
God to me was a fear-punishing monger, and I just didn't want that in my life.
While you were going through this, did it reveal that you have ability? How did that happen?
That came in through the dreams.
Okay. So I know you're a practicing psychic. That's how I know her. And matter of fact, if you would like to give out a phone call number, she's a very good psychic, you guys, by the way. She's helped me with some stuff too. So all of my friends are pretty much psychics, but yeah. So
yes, I'm fine with that.
Okay, you're okay with that? Yep. Yeah, okay. That's what we'll do. And
Okay.
So you were saying that an awakening really isn't religious, it's spiritual. Correct?
Absolutely.
And you won't see it coming.
100%.
You think that you're not supposed to see it coming? You think that's what it's on purpose? Because I think it's on purpose. I think that you aren't supposed to see it. But like I said, trauma. I really truly feel trauma brings them on. Because like you,
I had some of that.
Yeah, like you, I didn't know anything. My mother died so suddenly, and it brought on my ability. And I maybe had the ability before, but maybe I wasn't in the right place at the right time for that. Do you know what I'm saying? I understand because, and do you think, so you've had 2 awakenings? Or have you had just one big one? Or you've had littler ones?
I would say there's chapters in that.
Okay.
I think you have the initial one, and then you spend some time figuring out what is happening.
Exactly. And that's what I'm going to be talking about. Yep. That's what I'm going to be talking about. Because you think you're crazy. You don't look at the world anymore in the same way. You just can't. No, it's like you just can't. Right. You feel like you were living a lie before before an awakening, correct? Don't you feel? Correct. Yeah. You just can't be like that anymore. You know what I'm saying? And I get it. So, like I said, with me, I was 30, my mother died, and I felt like an orphan, even though my dad, I was 30, but I still felt like an orphan. And it brought out my ability and in dreams also, because I was having dreams of my mother. So that kind of happened, and I hit 50. Like you said you hit 50, I hit 50. 50 for a lot of people, especially women, is a very significant number. More so than 40, more so than 30, because you're getting rid of, your hormones are, I always say estrogen made me nice. That's what I always say. Okay. So estrogen made me nice because I'm not, you know what I'm saying? Because you get all that crap.
Oh, that's hilarious. Oh my goodness.
During that time.
Yes. So I just went through a point where the hormones aren't, I don't have to concentrate every month on my, my hormones. Things have just leveled out, and it's easier to grow spiritually when your mind's not all over the place. And the Native Americans also believe this, that they're not allowed to be on the councils, on the Native American councils, so they're 50. And I know several that used to be very, very common. It's not so much anymore, but they want somebody that's wise, who's been through everything and have gotten rid of their karma. That's another thing that you may go through when you go through a spiritual awakening. You're getting rid of karma. Karma left and right are old relationships. You're done with it. You've met your karma. You're moving on. So, yeah. But, so you are a medium, correct?
Yes.
You are, and you do. So what exactly do you do? Do you read cards? What do you do? So for everybody.
Both. Lately I've been channeling more.
Okay.
More than just the cards. The cards just affirm, or it's almost like it tells a story, but it helps. It also is a good visual for
others. Yeah. I feel the same way.
I do not need cards anymore.
Yeah.
I just read their energy.
Okay. So you're an energy reader too. Okay. Now, are you in, do any kind of Reiki or anything, or no?
I have had the first course in Reiki. I just didn't finish through the symbolism.
Okay.
I actually had some experience in working with people who were chronically ill and terminally ill. In a group session we did every Wednesday night we would do at the local college, we would do some Reiki on terminally ill people.
Good. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm a Reiki practitioner too. And I think that Reiki people are like psychics are usually crisscrossed over to Reiki because you're healing as you're doing readings. And I think some people need to realize that. Yeah. So
it heals the reader and
yeah, exactly. We do get, by the way, we do get stuff back from you. While we are working with you, we get things back also. So it's a symbiotic relationship, But anyway, so Brenda, can we put her number up at the top or at the bottom? If you'd like a reading from Brenda, she's very good. She's helped me with things. I've helped her, That's what we do. That's what psychics do. We all know each other. It's 815-988-8432. Is that the number I can call, Brenda?
That is correct.
Okay, if somebody,
my email address too.
Oh, your email. What was that again?
Weezer's mom.
Oh yeah, okay.
BKO@gmail.com.
Okay, so I also haven't. You want the email also for her? Okay. So we've got a number here, and you can give her a call because she's not real expensive. She's a friend of mine. 815-988-8432. And you can also do Weezer's mom at Gmail. So, okay. Thanks for calling, my dear. Take care. I will talk to you later, okay?
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. So I think when everybody's had their awakening, I think every single person goes through an awakening. Now, so many people they say they don't, but I'm pretty positive everyone has. Now, Pete, have you had one?
I think so. The more I hear you talk about it, I think maybe I have. Only in that I have and you and I talked long ago when we were first getting to know each other over the phone. I have, ever since I was little, I've been able to see and hear people, spirit, and even things that are spirit that were never people. That come, I can see that. I have those experiences. I can't control it. I only get to see what they want me to see or have the ability to show me themselves.
Yes.
And I don't get to pick and choose when or where. But I think what happened was my mother-in-law, and this goes back a couple of years, wanted me to go see if her father, who had passed when she was young, was with her mom. Her mom was in an assisted living care center. Her mom was 107 at the time. She passed at 109 earlier this year. But I said, okay, because my wife said, well, we don't talk about this. Pete doesn't like talking about it because he doesn't want people to think he's crazy, like you just said.
Yeah.
I really don't. I've only become more comfortable talking about this probably within the last year or two since this. I went there and I mentally, I just call it opening a window or opening a door. Yeah. And I used to be able to keep it completely, totally shut. I can't anymore. Since going there, I cannot shut it.
Okay.
It's open. I can't bring it back down.
Okay.
Went there. I do not like going into any type of assisted living, hospice, anything like hospitals, because and this might bother some people. There are things that, and this is where one of the crazy parts come in, but there are things that are all over those places that never were human, and they feed off of spirit energy, and they will chomp on spirit, and to the point where people who are able to show themselves may be missing a leg, they may be missing an arm, they may be having a great big bite, what looks like a bite out of the side of themselves, because that's what these other things have, and it's representative to them. It's not that they're actually missing those pieces and parts. It's representative of that portion of their energy that they've, and it doesn't go away. It just, energy gets transferred. The energy never goes away. It just takes another form or transfers. But those things are not at all pleasant.
Okay.
They're not evil. They're just not, they don't know what, they're just existing in the way they know how to exist. Anyway, went there. There was a man in her room that I thought was a real person at first. And I went to shake a hand and realized, oh no, this is not, and it just appeared like almost a movie cardboard cutout. And I moved forward, and then all of a sudden it was on the other side of the room. I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. You're not here. And very pleasant looking, very lovely smile, very nice. Didn't get no fear, nothing like that. But then I kept hearing, hey, kiddo, hey, kiddo, hey, kiddo. Like, and I thought maybe it was her dad talking to my mother-in-law. Well, after everything else, we transferred, went back, and she said, okay, do you think you saw my dad? And I'm like, I have no idea. She said, well, here's some pictures. I'm like, yeah, this is the guy I saw right here, but he wasn't wearing glasses, and he was a little bit fuller, a little, heavier. And she said, well, right toward the end, he was a little heavier, and he didn't always wear his glasses. So,
okay.
And, but yeah, that's the guy right there.
Okay.
And then I told her about the hey kiddo. Well, she was talking to one of her older siblings. He was actually younger than his wife. And the joke was always, she called him old man and he called her hey kiddo.
Oh, okay.
I had no way of knowing that.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but but ever since that instance, I've not been able to shut back down.
Okay, I get it.
So,
well, okay. So to explain what you're picking up in these places, you're picking up like energy and stuff. What I find when I clean houses, when I go to places, when I do things like this, is that there's balls of energy. A lot of times they're not entities. Now that was probably an entity that because you saw and see, what I'm saying, like, and that's who, when I'm doing readings, that's who I'm talking to. But 90% of the time when I walk into a building and I'm clearing out a house, it's a ball of negative energy, and it bounces around sort of like an entity, and it seems like it takes on the life of something. Do you know what I'm saying? And it can be bad, because if it's a lot of negative, anger and frustration, all this stuff, it'll take on its own negative personality. So I understand what you say by going into a place like that.
Well, these are things that I actually, they're like, they have a form. I can see them. They are things. It's like people, no two people look exactly alike. Well, they're very individualistic, but they are creatures. They are not, it's not just a ball of energy. These are actual creatures, and they are everywhere.
And see, I have not seen that, but then that could be my belief system. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying they're not possible, because I know that there's things there. I know that there's things called tulpas, and if you believe in a thing long enough, it exists. And so people could be like, they always talk about Bigfoot, right? Which I got to find a Bigfoot hunter, because I'm still looking for one, because I'm going to do that for this show, because it's metaphysical. But that, does it really exist? I don't know. But because we believe in it for so long, it starts to take on a form. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's very possible of what do you know what I'm saying? That it's taking on the form of an actual thing. It's called a tulpa.
That I'm not sure, because these are not things that I believed in. They are there.
Oh, no, but other people have created them. Do you see my point?
Gotcha.
Yeah,
I see what
so
you're saying.
they're probably tulpas. Yes,
okay.
And I really think that does exist. I could tell you. One of my other stories is going to be about like werewolves and stuff, because I've got one on my road. But anyway, back to what we're doing for an awakening. Yeah. So this did your awakening, huh?
To the point where I can't shut it off anymore, and to the point where I am more comfortable with what comes through. Now we also have this is a weird thing that some people know that it exists in my house. My wife always joked that she wanted a possessed doll. And I'm like, yeah, no.
Oh, the doll.
I hate dolls. I can't stand dolls because of an experience I had when I was very little.
Yeah.
But I was walking through our prop store for the station is usually Goodwill because, hey, 99 cents.
That's right.
I'm walking through and I heard this, I'm Emily. I'm looking around. I realized it was coming out of this doll that was there.
Yeah.
So, and I thought, and it was $3.99. I'm like, okay, I think.
See, I believe in these because
because
I've had objects possessed
I'm thinking
with energy.
the energy was different coming off of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I'll give you a shot. I think I can handle you. So I was open enough to go, all right, I'm going to buy this.
Uh-huh.
I took it home. I gave it to my wife. I said, okay, this doll said I'm Emily. Now we've had her for about a year and she has talked more and more. We've learned a little bit more about her.
Mm-hmm.
She died at 15 in 1975. And she is kind of like having a 15-year-old just stuck in a doll. Mm-hmm. I don't know why she's stuck in the doll. She hasn't.
Well, it isn't that.
that.
My opinion isn't that they're just attached to it. They're not stuck in it, but she's there. Like she's coming through, and she likes that thing, and so that she sticks with that.
And sometimes she's quite chatty. Okay. Now, I've never seen her as spirit. I've never seen her, because usually that's what I get.
Yeah.
But she talks through that. And the doll does not have a voice box or anything like that. I can hear her plain as day.
Okay.
But then there are times when she won't say a darn word for days at a time.
Okay.
Well,
I'm surprised you haven't gotten used to once. After a while, people become used to that energy. And then you can't hear him anymore. My mom, I can't hear her anymore. It's weird that I can hear my father-in-law because he'll come to me and I can still hear him because you become used to the vibration. You're just used to the energy. So and you go about your business. So then you can't really hear them anymore. That's why a lot of people will say, my dad died 2 years ago and I can't hear him anymore. Where is he? He's still there. You can't hear him because you're used to it.
And see, I pushed my dad away. He died a couple of years ago, actually Christmas Eve in a car accident of his own doing. No, it wasn't a suicide thing. It was just a stupid thing that he did. But he came through in a dream shortly after. And there's a lot of anger on my part.
Okay. Well, and you know what? And that's no offense. You have to work through it. And
I do.
So,
it's my own thing to work through.
So, Yep. When you're ready, you're ready, but that's part of an awakening too. Yeah. All I know is that, you go through that dark night of the soul, and that's what starts the stage one where you might even go to a therapist because you're like, there's something wrong. And at a deep level, there's something not right. Okay. You could go through depression. Like Brenda said, she went through some depression. Yeah. If you feel meaningless, all of this stuff, and some people it takes years, and some people it takes a very short amount of time. So it's just the darkest point. Okay, then all of a sudden you start going. Here we go for hope. My last thing I talked about hope. You start having some hope, like, oh well, maybe it's not so bad. Maybe everything's getting better. Maybe, and you go through these stages, and then you start asking, okay, what's up? And then when about the time that you feel like you're thinking you're getting it, you go backwards again. And it's just a process. And I've seen some people take 2, 3, 4 years. And some people just take days. I've seen some people take months. It's different. It's different for everybody. And I still think that everybody goes through more than one. But there's one major one. And then there's maybe a minor one after that. And I still say it seems like it's an age. It's like a middle-aged thing for a lot of people.
Well, I will tell you, I've enjoyed being in my 50s more than any other age. I have. Like when I turned 50, I just felt better. I felt more comfortable with myself.
Yep.
And because I'm past 50 now, but well past 50. But it's interesting that you talk about the awakenings and what she went through. And there's when I was little, we lived in a house that was part of the Underground Railroad in Missouri.
Okay, yes.
And that's where I first saw a lot of things.
Okay, yeah.
And as a kid, I didn't understand quite how to process some of that stuff. It really, it really freaked me out.
Oh, I bet. And, I've got several people I know that are in the process of an awakening. And by the way, when you feel so lost that you're like nearly suicidal, you're just about ready to hit an awakening because you get like that. And I was, now that I'm 50, I'm 53 now, but I hit it at 50, but I hit a major one at 30. And I had no idea I had ability. I thought maybe my mom had ability. So I guess I inherited it. I still say my 2 grandchildren both have my ability. And I've got 2 granddaughters and I still, both of them got it. But back to this is, so here I am, not sure if I've got it. I all I know is that I have a friend that got me involved in less religious stuff and more spiritual stuff.
Yeah.
And we were doing Reiki on somebody, and her and I were doing it. And I looked up at her and I go to the person on the table. I'm like, well, blah, 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 blah. Did you work here? Blah, blah. And I went on and on and on and on. And then I said, did you have a brother? And I had no idea what I was doing. And my friend looks at me and goes, oh my God, you're a psychic.
Wow.
And I'm like, now, did that come on for my awakening? I think so. Was the ability probably already there? Yeah, I just became aware of it through an awakening. So for anybody that's gone through this, they'll understand that all of a sudden, after you have an awakening, you have spiritual gifts. And you can't look at the way you had thought before, like religiously, spiritually, anything. You can't look at it in the same way. You have a different aspect, a different look. I still say everyone goes through one of these. So, dark night of the soul, everybody knows what that means. So, so you get to the next stage and you go backwards again. You're like, oh my God, you think you got it. Then you go backwards again. But that's totally normal, guys. Do not worry about that. So then you've got you start to do the next stage is like a spiritual makeover where, maybe you were Catholic and all of a sudden you're Wiccan, all that you change and you go through that awakening and you just shift. It shifts. So you're at that stage where it's like, so now I know me, I was raised extremely religious, really Bible thumping Christian. Okay. And that's just not me. And I really don't pass judgment on anybody. I can't, but that's not for me. But this is what I know to be my truth. Know thy own truth.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I
agree with you on that. I was raised, and my grandfather, my mom's dad, was a high patriarch in the RLDS church, which actually no longer exists. But very, very Christian, heavy focused every Sunday morning, prayer meetings on Wednesdays, that kind of the whole 9 yards. But now I look at quote unquote organized religion and I think, man, as far as that goes, we got it so wrong.
Yes, exactly.
And that's just I like you, very spiritual in my beliefs and in my foundations and such, but I don't think we got this right, guys.
Exactly. There's more out there.
Yeah.
There's more to it. And that is something I get on the other side. When people come through to give messages to their family, they will say, this is not what you think it is. This is more. But and they said, believe me, it's real also, is what I will get as a message to give to a family member. So, because a lot of times they'll be very religious and all of a sudden they say, this isn't what I told you it would be. This isn't like I told, because I still say it's man-made.
Yeah.
It's man-made and it's more than that.
I can tell you my grandfather fully expected to be greeted at the pearly gates by St. Peter himself for all the good works he did in the church.
Yep.
And he was quite unhappy when that was not the case.
No, because every time you even give somebody a smile, you're doing a good work.
Yeah.
I said earlier, I think it was on my other show, I had somebody question me, what's your relationship to God? Because they found out I'm a psychic. And I'm like, I do God's work every day. And I truly believe that I do. And that's part of that I know to be true. So, and that's part of my awakening though. So, and does everybody have awakenings? I feel they do, but now some people say that they don't. Some people don't have these, and that we're maybe a little bit rarer. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I think everybody does, but you know, now that I think about it, I guess I know a few people through life that did not do it. Do you know what I'm saying? But most people do, though. They get to a certain point, and they may be even forced into them, you know, a little bit. But you know. All I know is that you're part of the awakening. Part of the awakening is that you have to shift spiritually and you have to use your gifts. They're there to use. Like my mother always used to tell me, and she still comes through in readings, why aren't you using all your gifts? Because for a long time, I didn't use any of this. A long time, I don't know. I don't know if I was scared. That was part of my awakening, learning to have confidence in myself that I can do this. So,
well, and I don't think you need to prove anything to anybody. The interesting thing to me is that you know, well, you remember talking about the little dog that my wife and I had.
Yes.
And you didn't even know. You didn't. I mean, you hit her right on the head. You didn't even know that, you know, she was an existing creature. And we were talking about it. Boom. So I don't think there's anything you need to even prove to anybody. I think you could just, I mean, here's one of the things too. You also have your own radio show on 21.6 Net. So, you know, you carry that base of knowledge and confidence and authority with you. I think there's absolutely nothing you have to prove. You don't need to. You're just sharing.
You know, yeah, exactly. And I think, though, you do get to a point, and especially when you're doing your awakening, where you lack your confidence. Now, I recently had somebody ask me why I'm not working with the police. Now, I have found lost objects for people. And my friend Brenda here can verify that. I have helped her find lost objects in her house. But I don't know how I would work with police. See, here's a little bit of a confidence, but I don't know. I'm always willing to try, and maybe I'm in the process of another awakening now, so maybe I'll be able to do that. I don't know. Maybe I'm supposed to be doing that. I don't know, but I do know as I'm making my shift, I'm having a minor. I think I've had mine since I'm 50. I'm still going through it a little bit because I'm awakening happens when you're not aware that it's happening, but you know there's something happening. You know, it's shifting.
Yeah.
And you just are finding different ways of doing things differently. So for me, I'm in the process of retiring. I've already discovered my way of making with confidence enough money so I don't have to do what I was doing before. That's a kind of awakening too. Why am I doing it this way? I'm doing this too hard. That's an awakening.
What you talked about last week on your show when I was watching, I've been shifting out of what I do for the day job, quote unquote, for a few years now, a couple of years, well, 3 years.
And that's an awakening because you're coming into your own. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that's a good way to say it.
I guess so. Because it's something that I'm tired of doing. I've done it for nearly 30 years, and I want to be done.
Yes, and I think too that the awakening could also be called enlightenment, which is really hard to achieve because that's what you're kind of going towards, though. And you know, it's just a thought on that. But back to what we were talking about before is your stages, right? Your next stage is your grounding. You're really starting to focus. For me personally, as I go through this, I'm writing a book about empathic murders because and that's going to be a whole series because I'm writing a book about it. An empathic murder is one that gets stuck in a role because they feel bad for everybody else. And one that sometimes gets stuck in a thing, poor me, because I'm so empathic. It's just a whole series of how to break out of that, how to break out of a mindset that you're the martyr and that you're feeling bad for people. So you are absorbing their energy and you don't want to make them feel bad. So they put you in these roles and you play them. but it's really not who you are. So
Right.
how to break out of it. So that's kind of what I don't know. I feel like that's my awakening, and that's what I've been going through. But like I said, you're doing your karmic debts also. Like there's a karmic, like you've paid your karmic debts. Remember I told you had to get your karmic debts out of the way. So then that's what the Native Americans believe, so that you can move on and be part of the council. And for Native Americans, the women run everything. I don't think people understand that the chief is just a figurehead. The women sit underneath him and tell him what to do. I think people don't understand that. But a lot of the cultures are like that.
Pretty much just like being married.
Yeah. So, but your karmic debts are out of the way too. Have you ever met anybody who's gone through like 15 different marriages, relationships, and they just keep going through them and through them and through them, and they don't stick with one person because they're going through karmic debt. They're they're clearing karmic debt in this lifetime. And I know somebody, I got it. Oh, he's probably listening. But anyway, he probably will listen, because I'm seeing you guys are mostly watching me later on my Facebook and stuff is what I'm watching. Anyway, and he has gone through, a lot of relationships with women, men, just all kinds of stuff. And I feel like he's clearing his debt to go to another level. And I've told him that. And I just told him, I said, be prepared. He goes, I feel so lost. I said, just be prepared. You're in an awakening. Okay. So, okay. So here we go. The last step. And this is the step I went to. Remember I told you when I went through my awakening, You're coming out of the spiritual closet. You're willing to put yourself out there to help others with your gifts. So, I was given the gift. I'm clairvoyant, clairaudient. I'm also clairsentient, and sometimes I can smell. Sometimes I can't remember. It's what's it called? It's olfactory.
Like the phantom sense that just kind of waft around sometimes.
If somebody is smoking a cigarette and they're talking to me, I'll smell it. I'll say, if somebody's smoking a cigarette while they're talking to me, and their name is blah blah blah.
Wow. Okay. Because I'll walk around and I'll be like, yeah. You didn't start smoking again, right?
Oh, there's somebody around you. Yeah, there's somebody around you smoking.
And I'll be like, and she's like, I don't know what you're smelling. I'm like, somebody's smoking in here. Who the heck has been smoking?
My family.
And I'm like, I have no idea who it is.
No,
but
sometimes you don't. But my family could be driving in a car, and every once in a while, my daughter will call me and say, okay, I smell cigarette smoke. And then my husband will smell it, and they're 100 miles apart. I think it may be my dad who smoked heavily. That's what he died of. But there's family members all over the place that would smoke. And so I just know that they're around. And like one day I heard my daughter go, she was in the kitchen, because my family has grown up with this. So they're very used to all this. They're not scared of it. They just accept it for reality. Even my grandchildren have gotten to a point where they get it. And she's in there and she's doing something. She was wiping out a dish and she goes, I just smelled grandma's perfume. You know what I'm saying? And that was a special gift sent to her. So just remember that that when you're getting that, a lot of times they're doing it on purpose to, I'm around, I love you. It's messages too. Okay.
Yeah, that's because I don't really even know of people on my mom's side who smoke. My dad's side, they had some smokers.
You might be picking up entities. Like maybe there could be an entity here in the building.
Well, I mean, we do have a studio ghost.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah,
it's here. So, I know. I can. It's been here. I can. It's like I already described it to you earlier. So
yeah. And he's been around for a long time.
Yeah. He just. I feel like he either owned this place or just worked here for a very long time. Yeah.
And he's fine and dandy. He doesn't, and actually he's pretty much follows the rules about usually not really making a ruckus or anything whilst we're on the air. Most of the,
so. You know what? Just remember, and I've told you this before, really fast before I go back to what we're doing for Awakenings, is that you can control them. People think that they're going to attack me. They can't do anything to you. You're alive. They're dead. You have more energy. You tell them to behave, or I'll make you leave. And you can make them leave. And that's what people don't understand. The only time they don't leave is if you really, truly don't want them to leave. Because I've got a person that I'm dealing with that I've cleared her house. Well, she's giving a lot of energy to this entity. a lot. She went and just she went to the library to see if she could find out who it was. That's a lot of energy. So in a way, she doesn't want it gone. So I'm not gonna be able to get rid of it. She's gonna have to really truly want it gone. She says she does, but
see, we lived in Richmond for the last 17 years, and it takes a lot of energy, but I kept a lot of stuff out of our house just by and I don't know how to explain it any other way than just saying, this is my space.
Yep.
Expanding my own self. Does that make sense?
No, I know. You're right.
And just pushing them out. I'm like, sorry, you can't come in here.
I've had, I have a ghost in my house now. I always have a ghost somewhere because they know I can see them. So they're attracted to me. But Sheila had the house before me, and she was playing with my kids. She was calling their names, peered in a mirror on them, stuff like that. And I walked around very, very firmly. I said, if you insist on doing this, you will leave and I will make you. You behave or you are leaving. And it works. Trust me. You put your foot down with them and they will respond to you. I've never had a problem since, but if somebody comes to my house that's not such a nice person, like my daughter had a real loser for a boyfriend, weird things would happen. I was just talking about this last week, scratching on the walls. It just scared him to death so he wouldn't come back again. And we have to laugh because she's just protecting us. You know what I'm saying? He shouldn't have been there. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now, you're in all these stages, you go backwards, you go forwards, you're your spiritual gift. And that last stage is where you're walking your talk. You're walking your walk, you're talking your talk, and you're living it. So for me, I became psychic. So I'm walking my walk and talking my talk. It took me, I knew about my gifts 30. And 30 is can be a big point too, where you really start looking at your gifts too, by the way. And I practiced in more of a random, like little stuff, I would, but by, how old was I? 36. I was really getting into this. So it takes a process also. So be patient with yourself. You may go forwards, you may go back stages, you may go forward stages, then you might go back 2 stages and you go, but the ultimate goal is to walk your walk and talk your talk and use those gifts that you were given. No. So that's why you're going through it. That's why you're going through this, because God wants you using those gifts, whatever they may be. They may be healing. They may be listening. Maybe you're a great listener. Maybe it's just doing good deeds for people with no expecting anything in return. Those things are gifts. I don't think people are, just because I'm a psychic, that's my gift. But a person that is very, very good at, maybe they're donating time to a homeless shelter and they're really patient. They're very good with those, those type of people. That's their gift. So you have to find out what your gift is and you have to use it. And one is not better than the other. So, and what's the whole purpose of this is enlightenment. And I know everybody's talked about enlightenment, and actually enlightenment is, I'm going alphabetical, by the way. I don't know if you knew that. I'm going, this is awakening. I'm on A. Yeah. Next week will be B. But our ultimate goal is to be God-like as possible. Correct? That's what we were created in God's image. So our ultimate goal is to be as close to him as possible, as to like him as possible. So we want to get to that stage. So I don't know what else to say, but to say that's basically what enlightenment is. So, okay. I just know, like I said, everybody goes through it differently. So it could be months, years, days. I don't think days. I have never seen anybody days because it's a process. So but I know everybody I know that is a psychic that practices, and I have 95% of my friends are psychics. I just am they get me. You get me. When I say something, you get me.
Well, here's the thing. When you talk about your experiences, and throws a light bulb on for me
Mm-hmm.
because of experiences I've had. All of a sudden, I don't feel like I'm insane and all
Exactly.
alone.
Exactly.
Because you don't, there has been a great deal of fear and trepidation about even talking about much of the experiences I've had throughout my life.
Because that's your conditioning from your organized religion.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah.
oh yeah. And see, I hear people say this a lot. I'm a recovering Catholic. And I'm not going to be religious because I'm not. Actually, the Catholic Church, what I do is they believe in what I do. I really, they
do.
very much do. But anyway, but I hear people say that though. I'm a recovering, and I just kind of chuckle because that's the person that's gone through the awakening.
Yeah.
That's the person that God wants you to be. I don't feel like this organized religion thing. I still feel that's another thing, and that was part of my prediction is that's going to fall away. That's falling away. That's very quickly falling away. And as people are grasping on to organized religion right now, like, and they're being very, they're being like extremists with it. It's falling away because people are getting beyond that now as we grow as human beings, that we understand that there's more to it than you're telling me what to do. And I'm not saying religion's bad. I'm not at all. But I'm saying the organized way that you have to believe the way I do, or you're going to hell. And then hell is a punishment. And there's so much more than that. There's more to all of this.
Yeah.
So, and do I understand it all? Oh, heck no. I don't get it all. I mean, I will change my mind. I keep a very open mind. And there's times where I will completely change. Like, really? And then I'm like, well, I got to think about that. Because I had my last week's guest was Tamika Meek. And we talked yesterday about empaths. And I feel an empath is born. It's both nature and nurture. She feels it's only nurture. So, and we were just talking back and forth, and I feel it's both. Because I know you can be born as a sociopath, and the old sociopath is the opposite.
Yeah.
So see what I'm saying? So there's always, like, I keep an open mind. I just really do. I just know that there's more to all of this. And whenever anybody talks to me from the other side, they tell me there's more to this.
Well, see, and what you talked about as far as empaths goes resonated with me because of two things. One is I have huge personal space. And I've had to learn to live with that. I do not like huggers. It feels so invasive for people I've never met to hug me.
Oh, okay.
It's almost painful. Like it almost physically hurts. Mm-hmm. It took me years to just get comfortable with shaking hands.
Okay.
Because when someone comes within, depending on their energy, anywhere between 15 to 10 feet of me, they're in my personal space. I can tell that they're there.
Yeah.
And even if they're behind me, it's just weird.
Uh-huh.
And so you talk about, I'm like, oh, okay.
See, I'm a hugger, so I guess that's good that I'm over here.
Well, yeah.
But you know what? I don't just walk up and hug somebody I don't know, though, either. But see, I don't know. I'm kind of weird with that, too. If I know them, they'll get what I do, and I've had people yell at me about it. I had one person, you're in my space, because when I talk to you, sometimes I have my hand on your shoulder.
See, and I can't. And I'm glad you said it, because I couldn't. You would see me physically flinch.
Yeah.
And it's not because I don't like you or have a problem with you. It's because for me, there's something so incredibly invasive and personal about that.
And see, what I'm doing is, because I'm used to doing it with children, because I'm healing. I'm a healer, and I'm touching you. You know what I'm saying? And I'm healing. Well, and I usually like pick up on that. So I would probably pick up that you didn't like, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But sometimes I do it. And I had somebody that don't touch me. And I'm like, I'm sorry.
I've actually stopped. I've stopped people with a palm to the forehead when they come in. No, I'll shake your hand, but no hugs. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But I like that really resonated. The other thing, the number two thing, and I know we're running out of time, but my mom has told me the story many times that when I was born, there was just this gold light that sat at the end of the bed in the hospital for her, and was there the entire time until just before they were getting ready to leave. It just went up and away, and I'm like, Okay, maybe that's a thing. I don't know what that
It
is.
could
I
have
don't know
been an
what that
angel or a
means.
guide.
Yeah, it
Could
could
have
have
very
been
much been
anything,
a
but
guide.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
very much.
but because I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird. So maybe something happened when I was born. I don't know.
It could be an angel. I matter of fact, go visit my YouTube because I have the difference between there's 4 entities. There's a archangel, angel, spirit guide, and ancestral guide. You got them all. So you usually have somebody keeping an eye on you. So, yep.
That's interesting.
So I have not much more to say about awakenings at
Well,
this
we've
point,
got
but you'll know when you got one. There you go.
We got about 2 minutes left, and I know your information, along as well as Brenda's, has been scrolling across the bottom there. But for everybody who would like to reach you, talk to you about maybe perhaps a reading, or maybe a clearing if they need it, or maybe their own awakening, maybe they're figuring out that that's what they're doing. How do they reach you?
You have no idea how many people call me just to talk to me about their awakening. Yes, they do that. So yes.
So how do they get a hold of you?
EnchantedSky.com. It's right across the board. You can even schedule and just hit the button and schedule a time form with me.
Wow.
Okay.
All right. Awesome.
Yep.
I really, really appreciate it. Especially you came in because of my schedule today early to pre-record another show. I appreciate that so much.
It's okay.
That's very kind of you.
And I want to get it out of the way because next week I'm going somewhere, and the weekend after that, and I'm going to be reading. I'm going to be reading up north of the Dells. So I got invited to go up there.
Awesome.
And then the next weekend I'm going to be in Daniel Boone National Forest in Kentucky. So I gotta pick up my puppy. Remember I told you I have a golden retriever puppy I'm getting.
That's cool. That's exciting.
Yep.
So very cool. I'm so glad I got to do this, Kid. Thanks for being off in the deep dark woods yourself this weekend. I'm really excited that I got to sit and enjoy your shows with you. Thank you so much for letting me do that. I appreciate that.
You.
So it's a lot of fun, and I also can understand why you attract people who have other experiences, because you make them feel comfortable and you make them feel good about it.
I think that's one of the things I'm supposed to do.
I honestly don't think you have a thing to prove.
Oh, thank you.
I really don't. I think you can just speak from authority and experience, and there's nothing you've got to prove to anybody. So there you go. That's my 2 cents.
Okay.
So for you and your show. Meanwhile, we'll be back again. Now, don't miss next week. We'll have another pre-recorded show up and out and on the air, both on Facebook and as well as the 216thenet.com, real life internet radio, of Metaphysical Meanderings with Master Psychic Lana Duncan Hartgraves. There we go. We'll see you all next time. Thank you so much for tuning in. All right.
Now.